Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the podcast. This is the Gabby Hour, and I'm your host, Gabby Giselle. And today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking some smack about some things I've been seeing online recently, specifically in the self-care industry. Okay, we're going to be talking self-care talk. Okay, self-care videos. We're going to be talking aesthetic ASMR videos. Okay, that we've all seen all over our For You pages, our Instagram, Facebook. Heck, if y'all are still on Twitter, I'm sure y'all are seeing them over there amongst all of the bops on that app. We're going to be talking about how I think it's harmful to people, especially young people, especially in today's economy, and how I feel about it and what I do to take care of myself, because truly I think spending $400 at Sephora every month to get your self-care products is extremely not just unrealistic, but harmful to people, especially young people, and especially young women, who I think are the largest victims of consumerism and advertising. So we're going to be talking about it. And if this is your first time here on the podcast, hi, welcome. My name's Gabby. It is so nice to meet you. I hope you stick around, because this is the most unhinged, most yaptastic place on the internet. I just invented a word. That's how cool it is. So I hope you guys stick around. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you guys are not. If you guys are listening on Spotify, hello, follow us on Spotify, and make sure you follow us on all social medias. They'll be linked down below, along with my own personals. I also vlog, so if you guys want to check out some bookish vlogs, some wellness vlogs, some fitness vlogs to come, go check that out. Everything will be linked down below. And let's get into this episode. I want to start this off by calling out the things about these self-care videos that I think people don't realize might be just not that great and not that real. So number one is just how costly some of these videos are. If you look at every single skincare product that is used, or every single mask or bath bomb or body lotion or body scrub or razor or hair curlers, or it just, all of these things that are unnecessary spending that most people either cannot afford or force themselves to spend on, which then causes them to fall back on other financial goals. And especially in the economy that we're in right now, and now I'm not an economist, I'm not a financial advisor, I don't really know what I'm talking about. But I think that being a business owner of the last 4 years, being 23, being a young woman in America right now, the financial situation that most people my age are going through is pretty damn dire. Most people I know at my age do not live alone. They don't live on their own. They live with their parents. They don't pay bills because they can't afford it, or they choose not to afford it. And it just doesn't really make sense, and I don't think that it's sympathetic towards people who are normal working class people that have bills to pay and mouths to feed, especially people who are young parents. I mean, I would assume that as a young parent you probably live on your own, but I know tons of young parents who don't live alone. They live at their mother's house because A, they can't afford childcare and rent and all the other bills that they might have, or they just need the help and support from a parent that you would get living in their house. Another reason why I think self-care culture, self-care talk or videos are really harmful is because I think that it's just another to-do list. It's just something else to add to this list of things that we're supposed to do. There's a really good audio of somebody, it's a woman, and she's, talking about, oh, do this and do that, and eat this and don't eat that, and don't eat this and wear this and don't wear this, and do this, but don't do it too much because that's bad, and blah, blah, blah. And it's this like overstimulated system of information that is just blown out at us at all times. It's like, I talk about this all the time when it comes to nutrition. It's like, oh, sugar's bad for you, but don't have any sucralose, and don't have any aspartame, and don't have any stevia, and don't have monk fruit because that's also bad for you. And there's just so much information out there that it can get really stressful and overwhelming for people who don't know any better. And let's face it, most people don't know any better. And so this whole self-care culture of you need to have a 20-step skincare routine. You need to make sure you're reading before bed. You need to make sure you're not getting too much screen time. You need to make sure that you're exercising every single day. You need to make sure that you have a bubble bath once a week. You need to have an everything shower twice a week. You need to wash your hair only 3 times a week, and do this and don't do this. It's just so overstimulating and overwhelming, and people will force themselves to do this because of FOMO, literally just FOMO. And I also think that it disregards actual adult responsibilities that we have on the day to day. Like, girl, I don't have 3 hours before bed to spend winding down, whatever the fuck that means. Like, oh, you're supposed to watch TV 3 hours before bed and make sure that you've already eaten dinner, and make sure that 2 hours before bed you're reading, so that way your brain can start to shut down, and then you turn off your phone, and then you do this, and then you got to make sure. It's like, it is insane, the optimization of like sleep and self-care and like health and wellness, that it is just as harmful as, again, the argument of like, don't have sugar, but also don't have sugar alternatives because those aren't natural or real. And it's perpetuating this like just idea that we have all the time in the world. Most people, especially, like, I'm not a parent, but imagine if you have a kid and you work a 9 to 5. After you get home, you have to like feed your kid. Let's say you get home from work around like 5:36. Most people have like an hour commute to work sometimes, and especially at that time of day, everywhere there's traffic. So let's say you don't get home till 6. You have to feed and clothe your child and get them ready for bed, and that's probably a 2-hour system. And then depending on how many kids you have, and then you have to clean your house, and let's say you have to be up at 7 a.m. to get ready in the morning. If you have to get 8 hours of sleep, you have to be in bed by 11. A 3-hour wind down, or even a 2-hour wind down routine, is extremely unrealistic. And I just feel like it disregards that responsibility. It disregards the responsibility and the pressures that we also have as even young people who are not parents or don't have children, to have a social life, but not too much, and go have fun, but not too much, and make sure that you get home and you get your 8 hours of sleep. And oh, if you're a girl, you actually need 10 hours of sleep. So you need to make sure that you're doing this and doing that, and cycle syncing, and doing like a million things that are so unsustainable and unrealistic. And that's why I think that a lot of the self-care culture on the internet is just not, it's counterproductive in a way. Now, I do want to talk about why I think it's good, because I think that it is reprioritizing yourself and teaching yourself how to prioritize that alone time. I know a lot of if you'll notice along a lot of the videos, it's a lot of alone time. It's not, self-care, but with somebody else. It's about you, yourself. And it is bringing back this idea of like, yes, I have responsibilities. Yes, I have all these things to achieve, but I'm going to make time for me, and I'm going to make time for my relaxation. And I'm going to get more into it towards the end of this podcast episode about, the different forms of relaxation and whatnot. But we also can't disagree that self-care is a luxury in today's world. Like, it is not the easiest and most affordable and, most realistic and responsible thing to say, hey, I'm going to go spend $100 a month at TJ Maxx because self-care shopping day. I used to do a lot of like self-care days, and they would include a trip to Barnes & Noble. Now, a trip to Barnes & Noble on a good day is at least $50, okay? And for most people, if you want to do a self-care day every single week, that's unrealistic. That's a luxury for most people. And so I also think that we have to acknowledge, though, that there should be seasons of self-care. Like, there's seasons in your life where you have to lock the fuck in, and yeah, you're not going to have time for this like 12-step skincare routine. You shouldn't spend the money on these clothes and books and things that make you happy and that take care of, you and your inner child, and help you to feel happy and alive in life. And I always like saying, we work so hard for what? We work so hard for what is such a good way to check yourself when you're saying, I have this big problem because I grew up with parents who didn't really just like buy me whatever I want. I had to work for everything. So it instilled in me, which is a good value to have, that, you have to work and achieve something to get something. But sometimes it's like we're denying ourselves these little bits of love and happiness because, well, if I buy that, then what if I need to do this? And what if I need to do that? Like it is just so, so, so hard. And if that is you, where you're like, self-care is a luxury for me, I don't think that that's in the cards for me. Or maybe you want to do self-care and you do it now, but you also have financial goals. Let me tell you something that somebody really, really wealthy told me when I was young, and that gave me just such a sense of security. And when I did this, it really, really helped me feel good about financial decisions and know that no matter what, I'm gonna be okay. And there's also a girl on YouTube, and she has a podcast, and she's got TikTok, but it's like I think it's like Your Rich Best Friend or something is her handle. I forget what it is, but I'll put it on the screen. But she talks a lot about this, having a savings of your bills, right? Now, there's difference between like saving for a house, saving for a car, saving for a vacation. Those are other savings, right? But saving for you, for an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months, and in times like this where we could possibly go into recession, I've been told to save up to 9 to 10 months worth of bills. Now, I know that seems like a lot, but like, let's say every month you spend $2,000 in your rent and utilities, and then you spend another $500 in groceries, and then you spend another, let's say your total bills a month for you to live comes out to like $3,000, right? Let's say you need $3,000 a month to live and survive. Okay. In my area, that's probably about what most people living alone without any help or a partner or something like that to split bills with would need a month. Or I would say probably about $2,500 depending on where you live. That's about how much you would probably need. It's like, let's say $2,500 a month. So you need to save a total of $7,500 for 3 months worth of your bills. And this is not only important so that you can get ahead, but so that, if you don't have job security, or maybe you work somewhere, like for us here in South Florida, it's very seasonal. We're waiting for our snowbirds to come down during season, which is New Year's to Easter, which is only a few months. And that's our busiest time of the year. My cat is doing the cutest thing over there in the corner, and it's so adorable, and I love it. But she's also making a lot of noise, so I'm really sorry if you can hear that. But as I was saying, having that emergency fund is so important. I was just on TikTok live getting ready, okay? And some girl was in there saying that her girlfriend broke up with her, but they live together and she can't afford to move out. Like, if you had an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months worth of your bills, that's not a situation you would have to be in. If you had an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months and you have a big car note that you have to pay soon, like maybe you get in a car accident, you have to pay, why am I blanking on what the word is, but your premium, okay? Like, let's say your premium is really high, because these days people have pretty high premiums. Let's say your premium is $600, $900, $1,000, right? For whatever it is. And you already have these 3 to 6 months worth of bills saved up, right? Let's say you don't have a separate savings, but let's say you have that emergency fund of 3 to 6 months worth of bills, then you're solid. You don't need to worry about it. You can pay it. You don't need to worry. And then slowly over time, you can build up that, half of a month that you depleted from that savings. Now, do I think that you should have like separate things? Yeah, of course. But, I was told from a very young age to have a savings. And so if you want to have luxuries in life, I think that that's great. I think that, again, we work so hard for what? And so if you can save up a little bit of money, and I know it sounds really, really difficult, but look at your bank statements. Another thing that somebody extremely wealthy told me to do. If you're not looking at your bank statements every month to see what did you spend your money on, even if like you don't have to live at a budget, like you make enough money to like live comfortably, but you don't have an emergency fund, you should be looking at your bank statement and saying, hey, how much should I be putting aside? investing for later, a retirement fund, things like that are super important, especially at a young age. And I think that, if you have those finances in order and you have the money to do all the self-care in the world, do it, bro. Like, again, we work so hard for what? Spend your money how you want. I'm never going to tell you how to spend your money. But I think most people, especially in their 20s, even in your early 30s, are struggling right now financially, or are afraid or scared of what the future might bring financially because of the status of the United States. Maybe if you live in other countries, you're not experiencing this, and I'm not politically aware of other countries' economic issues enough to speak on them. But I think just overall, people in America, especially young people in America right now, are kind of like giving up on the idea of buying a house and buying a car and having a nice, comfortable lifestyle because it feels so out of reach. And instead, we spend our money on silly little things like self-care and iced coffees and breakfast and brunch and avocado toast and all these other things that we love to do, traveling, this, that, and the other, which I think are great. And you should spend your money on what you want to. And if you have the money, you should. And I think that I'm very big now, especially on you cannot die with all of your money. You cannot take it with you, okay? So if you die with all your money and you didn't spend it on anything that you really love and enjoy, that is a waste of work. That is a waste of effort and hard-earned money, and you should really look into treating yourself more. And I think that I love that part of self-care because it teaches people to spoil themselves, and I think that that's great. But when it comes to young people in America right now, spoiling yourself when you are still living at home with your mom, but you have a desire to move out, not a good idea. Let's say you are spending all this money on self-care, eating out, trips, all this stuff, but the minute your lease comes up, you're worried about having to pay more rent or worried about, having to move somewhere else where you might possibly have higher bills. Those things are signs that you probably shouldn't be splurging on self-care and trips and all these extras all of the time. Like, for example, back in the day, a flat screen TV was a sign that you were rich, that you had all this money and you're probably like a millionaire and blah, blah, blah. Like all the cool kids had them at their houses, right? Because their parents were rich. But nowadays you see people in very low income households with electronics and iPads and TVs and with, these Afterpay and all these Zip Pay and all these, basically layaway programs for anything retail. I mean, you can even lay away your DoorDash. Like, we are teaching people, and especially young people, impressionable young people, in a scary economic environment that, hey, these small luxuries are more important than saving for your future, because young people don't see a future that's great enough for them to put the effort in and to, pull themselves back when it comes to this self-care and treating yourself and sweet treats, right? Because I love a sweet treat, enough to really care about that future, and which is understandable, really understandable. So I thought it'd be cool if I shared some things that I do that I've learned over the years to do as self-care that maybe aren't glamorous self-care things, that don't cost money and that don't take a lot of effort or energy from you, that you can do and that can make your quality of life better and can help you to do what this like self-care ritual, self-care shopping sprees, self-care days can do for you, right? Without spending the money and putting yourself in a financial situation that maybe isn't favorable to your long-term goals. So I think it's really, really important for us to, when we think about self-care, to understand like what's the point of self-care, right? Is it to relax? Is it to quiet the mind, to rest the body? Like, think about what you like to do as self-care and find ways to do that are not going to put you behind on your long-term financial goals, or that are not going to feel like a whole task, like a 10-step night routine. So for me, I like to move my body, kind of reset my mind, and also quiet my mind, because those things make me feel recharged more than any sort of spending or shopping or 10-step skincare routine could do for me. And I love skincare. Okay, I'm a girl who loves skincare. Don't get me wrong. I'm a girl who loves to spend money. I'm a girl who loves to go shopping. I love to spend money on books. I literally have a video on my blog channel right now about how I have 35 books that I've purchased and haven't read. I believe in book buying is a different hobby from book reading, and I think it's great. However, if we're being honest, those things inherently, spending money doesn't do anything for your mental health or your body to relax, right? It might give you a boost of dopamine to make you happy, but long term, those are very short spurts of dopamine and they last a very short amount of time, and it doesn't make you happy in the long term. Now, can nice clothes make you happy? Yeah, but buying an excess of clothes, that's not real happiness. That's you feeling better about yourself, because I'm going to tell you what I learned. You feel happy when you go and you buy things because now you have more of that thing. And having more of that thing makes other people perceive you as wealthier or better off than them. And that makes you feel above them, and that boosts your self-confidence, which means that your confidence is based on bringing down other people. And I didn't mean to read you like a book, but I learned that about myself. And so maybe that's why you feel the need to go shopping and buy more clothes that you're probably not going to wear. Just being honest. Okay. And I wanted to mention today, I'm wearing like my shittiest t-shirt. Like, this is a Dallas Cowboys. Like, look at the holes in this shirt. Like, I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but there's so many holes. I could literally see you guys through these holes if I wanted to. I also have like the collar is like coming undone. But I love this shirt, okay? And I wanted to be comfortable, and I didn't want to wear a sweater today because I feel like I've worn a sweater in every single episode, and I wanted to wear a t-shirt today, so this is what you're getting, okay? But, like, this beat-up ass shirt, should I probably throw it away? Yeah, okay? But I like it, okay? And it's something that I bought at a thrift store of all places, but even if I'd paid full price for this, I love it, okay? And yeah, it brings me happiness. But again, it brings me happiness because it reminds me of like a happy time in my life, not because I bought it. Do you know what I'm saying? So anyways, let's get into what I do for self-care. So when it comes to moving my body, I like to move my body different ways. Recently, I've been enjoying like trying new classes. I've actually been thinking about taking some new dance classes. I really love doing burlesque. I've done burlesque in the past multiple times. I do burlesque a couple of times a year with one of my good friends, Gianna. She owns a studio here locally, and she does burlesque only 4 times a year, which sucks because I wish she did it every single week. I'd go every week. But when she does it, it's such a fun time, and it feels very liberating, and it's super cool, and it feels very like scandalous and risky, and it makes me feel sexy and confident. And I find myself riding this high even days or weeks after of like, I'm hot and I feel good and I'm doing good and like that sort of thing. But I've wanted to start taking like maybe some, dance classes, some hip hop classes. But a couple days ago, I was trying to see if there was something like that online for free, right? Because I was thinking about this video and I was like, I don't want to talk about paying for classes or paying for things. I want to talk about stuff that you can find for free. And there is tons of like how-to choreography, burlesque choreography, Latin dance class videos that you can do for exercise, for fun, right? You can literally just dance for free. Like when you're a kid, let's revert to our childlike selves. I used to love making up dance routines. I don't know about you, but like One Direction songs, for sure I was out there dancing. Maybe not to like Little Things, but definitely to like Midnight Memories. Hello? Like, how fun is that? I also like to do line dancing. I'm not a big country music fan, but the dancing aspect is so much fun. You can search on YouTube line dance tutorial. There's line dances to Pitbull songs. You can literally line dance to Pitbull songs, learn them on YouTube for free. You can learn them on TikTok for free. You can learn them on Instagram for free from creators and from people who make a ton of free content for you to have fun. So moving your body doesn't always have to look like going to the gym or going for runs or going for walks, although I love walking. I love walking outside specifically. It makes me feel really good, connected to nature. I like to listen to audiobooks while I do it, and I listen to audiobooks on the Libby app, which you can get free audiobooks. If you didn't know, let me give you another free tip, okay, to kind of give yourself some serotonin boosts. Go get a library card at your local library. Okay, once you do that, I want you to download the Libby app, and then you can get free audiobooks. You can get free ebooks. You can check out books at your library and get them for free. You do not have to spend money on books to enjoy them. So I like to do that while I go on walks in nature, and I've been doing it a lot recently. So if you haven't seen my vlogs, you should go check them out because I show you guys what I do on my day-to-day. Another thing I love to do every once in a while, I would say probably every 3 months, I go to the beach at sunrise someday and just decide that I'm going to do yoga at sunrise on the beach. And I don't know how to do yoga. Like, I wake up at the ass crack of dawn, go to the beach, which is like a 20-minute drive from me, and I do yoga on the beach. Do I know how to do yoga? No, but I just kind of stretch, and sometimes I just sit there in silence. And things like that are literally free are so much more recharging for my soul than spending money. Do you know what I'm saying? Than like a 12-step skincare routine. And also, I think it's what's important to you, because maybe for you, a 12-step skincare routine is really great for your soul, and it really makes you feel confident and good and rejuvenated. But my point is that, like, I keep using the 12-step skincare routine as an example, but like, if that's your thing, then find a way to do that is not going to, put you back in any other way. Maybe your priorities are different. Maybe I'm not a big get my toes done, but I'm a big get my nails done. So right now I don't have my nails done. And really the only reason for that is that my nail girl was out of town and I've been really busy that I haven't had time to make an appointment. But that's the kind of thing that, it costs $100 every time I get my nails done. But that's something that I like and it makes me feel good. So I'm going to keep doing it. Now for somebody else, it might be a stupid expense. It's like, okay, why would you spend money on getting your nails done? Right? That's my self-care that I enjoy. But what I don't want you to do is see me with my $100 nails done and think, oh my God, I have to get my nails done. Like Gabby, because she gets her nails done every month and it's $100 and blah, 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 blah. I need to find a nail tech that does nice designs and does this and this and that. That's the thing. It's not the self-care. It's the FOMO you get for things that you're not even sure you actually care about. I don't know. I don't want this video to come off as I'm bashing people who make self-care routines or skincare routines online, because that's certainly not my intention. But be honest with yourself. Is a 12-step skincare routine going to make you feel more rejuvenated at the end of your day? Or is it going to stress you out that you have to spend 40 minutes doing your skincare that you don't have before bed? Maybe instead of a 12-step skincare routine, you need to go get a delicious ice cream. Or maybe you need to take up baking and make some food for yourself and bake some delicious cookies at night that you can have before bed and then knock the fuck out with your no skincare ass. Makeup on. If that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy. Anyways, moving on. Another thing that I like to do is reset my mind. And so a lot of ways that I do this. So if I work all day, right, and I want to go to the gym after work, what I'll do is I'll come home, I'll put my phone down on the island out in the kitchen, and then I'll go in the room, close the door, and I will sit for 20 minutes in complete silence, not thinking at all. And I will set an alarm, though, on my phone. So that way when it dings, I know I have to get up because I'll hear it. And if you won't hear it from the kitchen, put it next to you, because I've learned my lesson also. Sometimes when I'm really tired, I don't hear it and I wake up an hour later. But even taking 20 minutes to just not be on your phone. Sometimes I don't sleep. Sometimes I just sit there for 20 minutes and it helps me feel so much more recharged. No screen, no music, no phone, no book, no podcast, no thinking, no doing anything at all. Literally just sitting there staring at the wall. Or maybe you can think, but just think happy thoughts. Think normal things. Don't sit there and think about everything that you have to do. Think about your favorite song or your favorite book or things that make you happy or people that make you happy or fun memories. Like that sort of thing can really, really help you feel recharged, but you're not flooding your brain with media. Super, super great. I like to journal. I don't journal all the time though. Sometimes I don't feel like journaling and I don't touch my journal for weeks at a time, but especially when I have a lot of stress on my mind or I find myself that I'm getting, anxious about things, journaling has helped me so much. And I used to feel so stupid journaling. I used to feel so dumb being like, "Dear diary," whatever. But it makes me feel good. Like it's so, after a while you kind of get used to it and it doesn't feel so stupid anymore. And you're like, wow, this is so nice to just like get things out onto the page and not worry about what somebody who might hear me say those words out loud might think, right? You can write the craziest, most fucked up shit you've ever thought in your head into a journal and, hopefully nobody ever sees it. And like, the likelihood of anybody ever seeing it very low, but it just feels so good to just get it out there. Okay. And like maybe try journaling. Those things really, really help you. Sometimes, reading is really therapeutic for me. And I like to read a good little smutty book. I like to read a good little high fantasy that just completely takes me out of my life and is like the best form of escapism. Maybe yours version of that is watching a Netflix show, watching TV, listening to the radio, listening to music, listening to a podcast, right? And not listening to a podcast while doing something else, which you're likely doing, which is great, but sitting down and actually just watching the podcast, because the world is not going to end. And I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. The world is not going to end if you put everything else away and you do nothing for one day. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. Okay. I think that I, as a Latina woman, have anxiety about my house being dirty. I can literally not do anything if my house is dirty. And sometimes I have to force myself to do nothing about it, right? And I'm really lucky. I have a partner, right? But when I was single, sometimes I would just avoid it. And I would literally go out to the backyard and sit in the backyard because there was no mess in the backyard. And I could just like be there. Or I would drive to a park and I would sit there alone. Or I would drive somewhere else, right? And you can go out and spend money, obviously. But like that sort of thing really, really helps to just like be like, I'm going to be irresponsible and ignore my responsibilities for the 1 fucking hour for me to just be a normal 20-something-year-old. And that's okay. Like those things are good too, to just do nothing. I love playing Call of Duty. One thing on me, I'd love to wreck a lobby full of grown men and then hop on the mic and talk smack. I do. And sometimes on like a Saturday or especially on a Sunday, Sundays for me growing up were like, we have to clean the house. We got to go to church. We got to do this. You got to do that. Get your clothes ready for tomorrow. Get this, do that. Instead of like, especially I notice a lot of cultural differences between me and my boyfriend. He grew up in a house where like Sundays are for relaxing and, chill. And he likes to do that on a Sunday. Whereas me on a Sunday, I'm like, I got to meal prep. I got to grocery shop. I got to clean the house. I got to do the laundry. I got to do this. I got to do that, right? Like I have a to-do list on a Sunday. He can sit down and play video games all day on a Sunday and feel zero guilt for it. And it's really just this guilt of like not being productive. And especially if you're somebody who wants to be successful in life. And this is something that another very successful person told me. And they were like, Gabby, I'm 40 something years old. I think they were like 42. I have restarted so many times, but I promise you, you taking a day off, taking 2 days off to go on a vacation, to go relax, to spend zero, like to just do nothing at home and lay around and be lazy will not hinder your success. I promise you. And hearing somebody who has billions, and I'm being so dead serious, billions of dollars, like so much money to the point where the bank told him he needed to put his money elsewhere. Okay. This man told me, Gabby, taking a day to be a lazy piece of shit is not going to stop you from being successful. You are doing such a good job 90% of the time. If you take a day to yourself to be lazy, play video games, do unproductive shit, read, go out with your friends, get drunk, be hungover. It is not the end of the world. And hearing that from somebody so successful, I was like, oh my God, like I have got to stop. Yeah, like sometimes I ignore the mess. Or maybe for you it's like, well, like I have to do this and I have to plan this so that way my week is easier and blah 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 blah. Baby, take a fucking break. Do nothing. Do shit that is lazy piece of shit, unemployed behavior. Unemployed behavior. You want to know why unemployed people are so happy? Because they're doing unemployed people shit. Your unemployed best friend who's like at a coffee shop at literally like 10 a.m. on a random Tuesday, like sitting there playing Animal Crossing on their iPad, like that's unemployed people activities. And again, if that for you is a 12-step skincare routine, great. I don't want you again to feel like I'm thinking that that's a bad thing to do. I think it's great. If it makes you feel good, that's all that matters. Truly, honestly, I just need you guys to understand that what I'm saying when I say that the self-care, marketing influencer videos are not good, what I mean is that they might not be good for you because not everything is good for everyone. And you need to find something for yourself that's going to help you to feel good, to feel fulfilled, and have that self-care, but also that's not going to hinder your long-term goals. And especially right now where we're going through a lot of like economic disarray and just kind of like shit is hitting the fan every other day and the stock market is going like this and we're all confused as to what's going to happen. Enjoy your life, but also make sure you're prepared for the future. And I know it can feel very hopeless, but there's always hope for something. And that's coming from a young small business owner who is a woman and the daughter of 2 immigrants in America in 2025. So if I have hope, you can too. Okay? You can too, I promise. Oh, I also wanted to mention, if you have a partner, sometimes like as partners, we like to go out to eat together and go out and do this together and go out and do that together. But again, laying on the couch, cuddling with your person, laying in the bed, cuddling with your person can make you feel 10 times better than pretending like a 12-step skincare routine is going to make you feel recharged. It's not. It's just literally not. Hugging a tree, quite literally, could make you feel way more recharged, literally, than buying anything ever could. So don't forget that when you're trying to consider what is going to make you happy this week. What is going to make you happy today. I think that we should do something every single day for ourselves that's a little bit selfish. And sometimes that thing is not, doing a 12-step skincare routine because we don't have time for that. Sometimes it's just doing your makeup for the day because you can or you want to. Maybe it's for you sitting down and crocheting or reading your favorite book. Even though you have responsibilities, it's like it's not the end of the world if you have to push those back and then you miss a little bit of sleep tomorrow. Like you'll make it up the next day, as long as it's not getting to a repetitive thing where you're again doing the same thing that a 12-step skincare routine that you can't afford would do, which is hinder yourself from being able to get ahead in life. Know your limits. And I think the way that you learn your limits when it comes to this is self-love, because I think that where self-care has become this like huge marketing term, like self-care skincare routine, self-care nightly routine, self-care Sunday, self-care Saturday, self-care shopping spree, self-care book haul, like it's turned into a marketing ploy. And I guarantee you it's directed to young women, okay, because most all marketing is. I promise you that what they really mean and the whole intention behind the self-care movement is to have self-love. And that's it. Okay? It is not to get you to go out and buy things, because that thing that you're chasing in outward objects and other things, like I need to buy this new mug because it's going to make me happy. Is it really? Or is it just like you think it's cute? And this is another thing I learned. Something can, like an object you're buying, something can make you really happy, but you can also just appreciate it and move on. But I think we've come to a consumerist society so like deeply that when we see something, we can't just appreciate it. We have to have it, right? And it's like, it's the same thing with like, it's the same thing with like money and greed, right? Like we can appreciate luxury items and luxury lifestyle, right? And maybe you can even afford some of it, but the hunger to have that thing, to own that thing, is just an ego, right? Like it's just ego that tells you you have to have it. It's not truly what you want, right? So when you love yourself, truly, truly love yourself and take care of yourself, I feel like the thing is self-care without self-love is just self-destruction. I'm going to say that again for y'all. Self-care without self-love is self-destruction, because it is just little dopamine hits that are going to just like, you're going to always be chasing that. And especially where if your self-care involves spending a lot of money, you're going to put yourself in positions that are not good. If your self-care only ever involves, constantly avoiding your responsibilities, you're going to be chasing those dopamine highs and you're never going to get anything done, right? Like self-care can be scrolling, but if you scroll every single day, all day long, you're going to scroll more and more every single day. And then you're not going to spend time working on your art and your passions and the things that excite you in life, or your job and your career, and building that business that you've been saying that you were going to build because you just logged 6 hours this week on TikTok. I'm a social media girly. I love it too. But a doom scroll is called a doom scroll for a reason. So remember that while you should sometimes take time to not be the most responsible, productive person, doing it too much is self-sabotage, right? Like, let's say you have a goal. Let's say you're a 20-something girl and you want to move out of your parents' house, right? But it feels so far and out of your grasp that it feels almost useless. So what you do instead of having the self-discipline, which is self-love, by the way, instead of having the self-discipline, you justify deviating from your goal as by calling it self-care. And then that is called self-sabotage, self-destruction, because you are then just constantly excusing your lack of self-discipline by calling it self-care. And that is never good. So just remember that, and understand your limits. And I think the way that you understand your limits when it comes to these things, because it's different for everybody. It might not be the same for me as it is for you, but knowing your limits can only happen when you know yourself, and you can only know yourself when you love yourself. So however you need to do that, I think that is really what we need to shift the focus from, like self-care, 12-step skin care routine to, self-love. This is what I do to recharge my soul. And I think that the wording does matter. So yeah. I think when we talk about self-love, you have to understand that love also comes with tough love. Like, for example, my boyfriend, I love him so much. And I'll tell him, baby, I'm going to be on track this week. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then towards the end of the week, when I start being like, baby, I want a sweet treat, he's like, I thought you said that you were going to be on a diet. I thought you said that you were going to go do this. Like, with the whole podcasting and starting YouTube and stuff like that, if I'm like, no, I'm not going to film today, and I told him that I was going to film today, he's like, I thought you said you were going to film. It sounds like an excuse. That's a little bit of tough love of him calling me out and being like, you're deviating from your goals. Are you really doing this because it makes the most sense, or you're trying to take a day to just relax and that's really important to you? Or are you self-sabotaging, overthinking, putting things to the side, and you're just going to keep doing it till you give up on your goals and your dreams, right? Like, that tough love, we have to learn to have that for ourselves too. And I think it also helps to have people around you, but I've been in times where I didn't have people. I didn't have anybody to give me the tough love, right? Or to push me or encourage me, right? I had a lot of people to give me, toughness and to yell at me. I mean, I have Hispanic parents, right? And they want me to be successful, and they've always been on top of me. And I see a lot of it on social media that, like, you have to grind, like the hustle culture. But it's nice to have somebody who truly loves you for who you are, not because they're supposed to love you like parents do. Like, parents love you because they're your parents. But partners and friends love you because they choose you, right? Like, your parents don't get to choose you. I don't know. I just think having that love for yourself is really great. I recommend, here's a little book rec for you guys. And I started listening to it again recently. It's called The Mountain Is You. It's such a good book. I highly recommend it, especially if you feel like you've had these goals for a really long time. There's dreams that you've been wanting to chase, and maybe you've even tried to chase them, but it almost feels like you can never really get ahead, or you try and try and try, and nothing really works out, or nothing really happens for you. I highly recommend you check out that book. Or maybe if that doesn't resonate with you, just listen to it. Just check it out. I think it's a really, really great message about how 99% of what you cannot achieve in this life is because you do not allow yourself to. And there's tons of different reasons, and they hash it out in the book. She explains it a lot better than I could. So go check out that book. I highly recommend. The next thing I want to talk about when it comes to self-love and self-care is to give yourself grace. Okay? Give yourself grace, because especially if you're watching this video and you're like, damn, like I gotta, I don't really care about this fucking 12-step skincare routine. I gotta stop spending money on it, right? And you're having this like awakening to it. Have some grace for yourself and understand that like you're not perfect. Like it's okay to have made the mistake of, prioritizing something that maybe wasn't actually a priority or doesn't actually matter to you. Having the grace for yourself to say, hey, like I have been really bad with my money spending, and I've been spending a lot of money on self-care days that I didn't need. And that's okay. And I enjoyed myself, but now it's time to rein it in. And also reward yourself. That's another thing that I like to do. Like, especially when it comes to like my diet, at the end of the week, I'm like, girl, like today's Friday. I'm going to eat some good food today. I don't know what I'm going to eat yet, but I'm excited to eat dinner today because I know I'm going to go out. I'm going to get myself a little sweet treat. I'm going to get myself a little yummy food. And it's going to make me feel good. Just like, I would feel good by fueling my body really well, but it's a reward for doing all these good things for myself. And then I get a reward at the end of it by doing something that is good for my brain and my mental. Maybe it's not that great for my body and my like physique goals, but it's good for my soul. My little heart wants a little sweet treat, And so give yourself grace, reward yourself, and understand that it looks different for everybody. So maybe what I'm saying right now, you're like, no, I like my 12-step skincare routine. Or maybe you're like, no, I think I'm good with my money, but I like to also spend a lot on DoorDash and this, that, and the other. And I like that. Then that's awesome for you. As long as you can really take a step back from the social media influence that you're being influenced by and say, does that really matter to me? Or am I just being influenced to care about something that hasn't, it doesn't really matter to me. And it's really just taking energy from me that I don't need it to take from me. Think about it. Like if you're a reader, let's say you enjoy reading books. I feel like nowadays it's all about like how many books can you read in a year. Oh my God, my Goodreads goal is, 127 books. I read 1,000 books last year. I read 300 books. Like that girl who went viral and people were like, there's no way you really read 1,000 books last year. Like it's impossible. First of all, why does anybody care how many books anybody's reading? And also like, just because somebody else has a lot of time to read and you feel guilty or less than because you don't, doesn't mean like you have to hold yourself to that same standard. Like, do you really care about how many books you read, and why do you care? Right? Like, just read for pleasure, read when you want to. Like, people get into reading slumps a lot more when you're forcing yourself to read something you don't actually want to read. And that's why I'm a proud DNFer. I will literally just donate a book the minute I don't like it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'll stick through it for a little bit, but for example, I read Wild Love a little bit ago, and I think I talked about it in a Yuck and Yum at the end of the first episode of the podcast, and I hated it. I was 250 pages in, and I was like, I don't like this. And I kept trying to force myself, and I was like, why am I forcing myself to read something that I don't like? And then that put me in a reading slump, because then I kept trying to pick that up to read it and pretend like I like it, and I just didn't. And once I let that go, oh my God, I had such a great reading month in April. Like I read so many books that I enjoyed and absolutely loved. So yeah, I don't know. That was just a book example because I'm a reader, if you couldn't tell from the background. I want to talk about how you can possibly start to plan some self-care into your life without self-destructing. I mentioned already yourself rewards, but also planning it ahead of time. Maybe for you, self-care does seem really stressful and you'll be sitting at home in bed being lazy and just scrolling, right? And you'll see a video of like, here's my nightly routine, and somebody turns off their phone, puts it away, sits down, takes a shower, does their skincare, gets their hair ready for tomorrow, puts their clothes aside, does all this, does all that. And then you feel insufficient and then you force yourself to do it, right? Whereas maybe if that's something you want to try out, plan it into your schedule. Plan to add that into your routine. Like, hey, on Sundays, I'm going to spend the morning time cleaning and meal prepping, but I'm going to make sure that by 4 p.m. I'm done. And if I didn't get something done by 4 p.m., I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to move on and go do stuff that makes me feel good and happy. Like, I'm just going to be lazy and play video games all day. That is sometimes what we have to do to fuel ourselves and to make ourselves feel good and happy. I feel like I repeated myself a lot this episode, but I just wanted to just come on here and talk about it because it's been coming up a lot on my For You page on TikTok, especially these like skincare videos. And I love watching them. They're very satisfying. But I look at the comments and they're like, oh, I wish I could afford this, like blah, 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 blah. Or, oh, I'm going to buy right now. Or, oh, I have to go get it right now. And it's like, do you? Like, is that thing really that important to you that you need to have it right now? Or can it be put off for later? Or does it even really matter to you? I don't know. These are just my thoughts. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think and what's some things that you like to do that are self-care related. Maybe that aren't, spending a ton of money, or maybe that are spending some money, or things that you like to spend your money on that you're like, no, Gabby, this makes me really, really happy. And yeah, I don't know. Let's discuss in the comments. What makes you happy? I'm going to just be honest with you. I enjoy a good ice cream. For me, a sweet treat will do it every time. If I'm not feeling that great, a Reese's peanut butter cup. That'd be making me feel real good. Okay? Real happy. I like to go and hang out with some friends and like just chill and do work outside of the house, which again, those things cost money. But, you can go somewhere and get a drink for like $2, maybe get a coffee, a black coffee, maybe just get water, maybe get, tea some places, or maybe, you go to breakfast and you really just get a coffee and you sit there and work and hang out. And if you leave your house, this is your reminder to support small businesses, especially right now. Like, talking about the state of the economy and how unstable it is and how scary it can feel. Support small businesses right now. And I know sometimes it can feel hard because typically small businesses cost a little bit more than franchise businesses or huge global or nationwide chains. But before you go to a Starbucks today, second guess, like, hey, what's my local coffee place doing? What's my local smoothie bar doing? Like, can I go support them? Before you go to Walmart to buy another piece of clothing you don't actually want, like, check out your local boutiques and go support somebody in your local economy. I don't really like her anymore because she started posting a lot of like weird conservative, like super far right propaganda. But Cody Sanchez talks a lot about when you give your money to a corporation, maybe like 3 cents comes. I'm making up these numbers. I think they're not accurate, but you could probably look this up. But it's like something like when you spend your money at like a global chain or a nationwide chain or something like that, maybe like 3 cents goes back into your community, versus when you spend your money with a local business, like something like $1 goes back into your community. And so it's such a big difference when you spend your money small. So if you're going to spend your money on some self-care shit, like go to like a local girl, and I know sometimes it can be expensive to do that. So don't feel too much pressure, but when you can, support your small business people, because it's really important, especially right now in this economy, to support local and to pay attention to your local politics, not just national politics and at that level. So yeah, anyways, it's been a couple of weeks since I've done a yuck and a yum. So we're going to talk about our yucks and our yums of the week. If if this is your first episode with me, basically at the end of almost every episode, sometimes I forget, I do a segment called Yuck and Yum where I talk about my yucks and my yums of the week. And this week, my yuck, okay? I've gone super into Olipop recently and like poppies and stuff. Tell me why the girls on TikTok lied to me. Y'all told me that strawberry vanilla pop, the Olipop was so good. I tried that shit. Nasty. Disgusting. I am not a fan, babes. It was nor good. Absolutely disgusting. Okay? Have you guys, oh my God, quick. Do you guys remember that video that went viral back in the day? It was like, this is for Rachel. You ruined my charger because me charger's not charging me iPad because it's gotten used to yours instead of mine. And guess what? I'm telling mom. Like, that's so funny. Sorry. That's like such a random thing that popped into my head just now, but it literally makes me giggle every time I see it. Man, do I miss Vine compilations? Anyways, yeah. So my yuck of this week is that strawberry vanilla Olipop. It's disgusting. Y'all lied. Another yuck for this week. Okay, as somebody who's pretty vulgar in my language and the way that I speak, and somebody who is pretty like open, and I discuss a lot of my personal business on the internet and tell probably a lot of embarrassing stories, I hate it. I hate it. Okay, because like if I'm saying this on my page and like on my podcast and on my YouTube channel, like you are purposefully coming to my platform to listen to me talk about this. It is different if I'm out in public, and it is just so attention seeking behavior to be in public talking about how you want to be in a polyamorous relationship or have a third in your relationship, or you're bisexual, so like your man gets jealous when you like flirt with other girls. Hey, I don't care. And I didn't fucking ask. I didn't ask. Okay, the other day I was sitting up somewhere, and one of like the people who worked there, his girlfriend was there. Super beautiful woman. I'm just gonna tell you right now, that man should be very happy. Okay, she's Puerto Rican, Latina, but there's just something about when people start discussing what they desire in the bedroom, like out loud and in public to like a bar full of people, that just kind of it rubs me the wrong way, because it's like, okay, I don't think, which like slay, actually like slay, Miss Girl, but why do you need other people to know that unless you want them for that? Or unless you want the attention that you get from saying something like that, because it's kind of like shock factor for some people, I guess. But I've been around polyamorous people pretty often. You know, I've known a lot of polyamorous people and a lot of people in like thruples, weirdly enough. So yeah, big yuck when people just like randomly start discussing their bedroom desires in public for attention. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, why else would you do that? I didn't ask. Nobody asked, actually. Like, you're giving that information of your own free will. And I'd get it if, like, we were all besties and, like, already knew each other. But, I don't know. It just kind of threw me off. And, like, again, I love that for her. But it just felt like she was just saying that for attention, you know? And it's like, we're still doing that. We're at this grown age, 23, and you're still doing shit for attention. And, like, saying, like, not even just doing shit for attention, but, like, saying outlandish shit that you know will get you attention for the sake of attention. Me on my podcast where I say outlandish shit for attention for the sake of getting attention. Yeah, I just yuck myself out, really. Anyways, moving on to my yums of this week. First of all, my yum of this week, I finished Powerful by Lauren Roberts, which is the novella for the Powerless series, because Fearless just came out, and it was so good. The ending is, oh my God, when I first read it, I was in public, so I was too afraid to cry in public, but when I got back in the car, I sobbed like a fucking baby. I wish that I had it on film so I could show you guys, but my God, did I sob at the scene where I don't know if you haven't read it already. Like, it's just you're late anyways. This book has been out for like 2 years now. Basically, the main character in this novella gets unalived at the end, and it is so sad. And she's such a sweet and lovely and perfect character, and like her love interest in it, I didn't really buy their love, but I loved it anyways, and they were so cute, and I just wanted her to be happy, and I'm so mad about it. But it was such a good book. So if you guys want like a cutie little fantasy novella, go read that. I mean, if you didn't like Powerless or Powerful, or no, yeah, if you didn't like Powerless, maybe it's not going to be your thing, but it was so good. It was so cutie. It wasn't like a literary work of art because it's like Lauren Roberts isn't really known for being like a very awesome writer. She's more of just like good at writing like banter and yearning, which is a slay for her, I guess. So go check it out if you're into books. The other book that I recently finished that was kind of a yum is Holly by Stephen King. I don't know. I just don't think Stephen King is like for me. I am going to try it, if I find another book of his after I'm done with my book buying ban and I want to pick it up, then maybe I'll check it out. But for right now, I'm on a book buying ban, so no more buying books. But my other yum of this week is Jessie Reyez. If y'all have never heard or listened to Jessie Reyez, you are living under a rock and you are missing out on some of the best lyrics of all damn time, especially for my girlies out there. Like, Jessie Reyez writes heartbreak and pain and agony and anguish like no other artist, okay? Like, her music, just the sound of it, even like the actual production of her music is just so good. She's so creative and smart, and her lyrics just they just eat me up. Like, one of the most popular songs in the album is Couldn't Be Me, and it's talking about how like it starts off by saying like men never choose the one that they really love is the one that they lose. She ends up being the one that they daydream about in a suburban house with a woman he settled for. She was better for my guess. God bless, but it couldn't be me. Yeah, it goes so hard. That song, I also like NBT, or is it NBT? Something like that. Begging for Love is also so good. Like, it's just so good. Like, I highly recommend you guys check out Jessie Reyez. It's been on repeat for me, and trust and believe, I've been singing them lyrics out like it is my damn job. Okay, and I'm so excited. Oh my god, quick story really quick. I'm gonna wrap up the podcast, but I bought tickets for her tour the day they came out, and I accidentally bought them for St. Louis, Missouri instead of St. Pete, Florida. So if you guys want tickets to St. Louis, Missouri, they are for sale. They are GA tickets to see Jessie Reyez in St. Louis. So if you guys want those, let me know. Send me a DM, because I'm trying to get rid of them. Because I want to buy tickets to St. Pete, and I will. I haven't. Yeah, I was so upset that I bought the wrong tickets that I just like haven't done anything with it really. I know I can sell them on Ticketmaster, but I don't know. I'd rather just like meet somebody who wants tickets to it and then like sell it to them, I don't know. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's podcast episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there are any other topics or pop culture moments or things about the world that you guys want me to talk about, opinions you guys want from me, feel free to comment them down below. I love it when you guys comment. I really, really appreciate all the comments and the love. And yeah, go check out my vlog channel. All my socials, everything for the podcast, and my personals will be linked down below. So go check them out. And I will see you guys next Monday for the Gabby Hour. Okay? Because honestly, I thought about calling this podcast the Yappy Hour because that's exactly what it is. So, but I thought it'd sound too much like a dog social meeting. If you know what a Yappy Hour is, it's like where people bring their dogs to happy hour. Yeah, I didn't want to be like known for that. So anyways, love you guys. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.